We are going to be talking all things Christmas and neurodivergent related. Now, it's quite poignant that Charlie has got a Bar Humbug hat on, and I have my nice little red Santa hat. And I think it's a little bit of devil's advocate today because I really like Christmas. And Charlie has alluded to that she don't particularly like Christmas. So if you think this is going to be
Yes.
like a two-way story today,
It's a bit
so
good cop, bad cop, isn't it? Although I think with your blonde and colourful and my dark and morose, it's a bit like Wednesday and Enid, actually.
it really is. It really is. So, Charlie, you wanted to cover this subject. So it's obviously something that you felt that was really important to talk about.
Yeah.
So what particularly is it that you think that what particularly is it that you don't like about Christmas? Let's start with that.
Yeah. So it's just hard, isn't it? It's just so much pressure. So, um, as you know, I had quite a difficult childhood and we didn't have very much money. And my dad was a drinker and yeah, so it's hard growing up with a disabled brother as well and a constantly stressed mum and with very little money. So they made it special. My mum particularly, she's an absolute superhero because she will admit that she struggles with the pressure of Christmas and any kind of occasion where there's a build up to it and you feel the pressure to make it special. But even on a really tight budget, she was able to deliver. She always made it special. So me and my brother, we always had a reasonable sized pile of presents with the same number each, because that kind of stuff really matters when you're autistic. We wouldn't have known how much it all cost or anything like that, and it wouldn't have been much, but we had to feel like there was some kind of equity, and she managed to do that, managed to cook meals that we enjoyed, all of this stuff. And like even after my parents got divorced, she made the decorating the house and wrapping the presents and all that. She made it special, even though she hates it. So she's like just someone that I'm trying to live up to, and then feeling like I'm kind of falling short because I'm trying to be a career woman and I'm trying to be a mum, trying to be a wife. I'm trying to do things for the community, and sometimes it's just like there's too many plates spinning and it all keeps adding up and I feel like I'm cracking up, and Christmas more than any other time. And it's dark and cold, and I like to go out running and walking and cycling in the countryside. I like to see flowers and leaves and hear birds, and it's all just a barren wasteland out there. So so many things I'd love to like about Christmas, like the fairy lights and the Christmas tree and the food and everything, but it's like I like the twinkly lights unless they're flashing. I don't mind them fading in and out, but if they flash in sequence, I get overwhelmed. And I like the food, but not if it's overcooked or dry. And yeah, I'm a very much I like it if I like it in this situation. I like it with these considerations, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
No, I do. I think I think it resonates with a lot of people. Whether, and I think mums in general, whether you're neurodivergent or not, especially and fathers as well. If you're working and trying to support a family and trying to juggle work, juggle the house, juggle the Christmas shopping, juggle everything else,
I don't
it
juggle that
Christmas.
with any men ever. Yeah. Hmm.
But it becomes really stressful. And I absolutely love Christmas, and I said this to you before. Christmas is like my favorite time of the year, and but it does come, even with me, it does come with extra pressure because I think, as a kid, it was the time that we were all together as a family, and I had so much admiration for my mum and dad and my nan. My nan was like my favorite person in the world, right? And she absolutely adored Christmas, and we spent Christmas with her every year. And she made the perfect roast potatoes, the perfect like my aspiration to
Hmm.
cook was always to cook like my nan, right? And she taught me to cook. And I I don't like the build up to Christmas. I say that I enjoy decorating the house, But I get halfway through making that tree and I'm like, I've had enough now.
Yeah.
The kids are putting the ornaments in the wrong places. The lights are all tangled. Um, and
It's
I
always fraught here.
it
It
really
always
is,
ends in somebody will get shouted at for not doing enough to help, and then shout at
yeah,
someone else for
yeah.
shouting, and
And it
yeah,
does, the house becomes chaotic. But then once it's all done, I like to kind of, right, it's done. I'm going to enjoy a glass of wine and actually take in the
yeah,
environment, take in my Christmas spirit. And I'm the same as you. I can't have them flashing that complete, the fade, slow fade in and out, I can cope with. I cannot, but you just, I'm like, no, I can't do it. And my husband turns it on. I'm like,
yeah,
don't do
yeah.
it.
Same here. Oh
And
God, I went to I spoke at Vodafone last early December, and we went to a pub on the way back for something to eat, and every single room was full of flashing lights. And when I spoke to the man behind the bar and said, "This is really giving me a sensory overload. Could you please put us in a room without flashing lights?" He just looked at me like I was an alien. Please believe us. If we say we can't cope with the flashing lights, we're not being Scrooges. It's just really difficult.
yeah,
Uh,
some people just don't get it, do they? They just don't understand it. Um, and I think it then, do you then, what do you do in that situation? Do you feel that you can explain to them the reason why, or do you think actually that's your issue and you need to get over it?
no, no. So what happened is we were going to have a full meal, but we decided to just have half a beer and a portion of chips between us and then get out of there. And but it was quite funny because quite often I get an adrenaline slump after a speaking event, and I quite often end up rowing with my husband because we both have that adrenaline come down. So the fact that we were together in a pub where neither of us were getting our needs met, it kind of resolved that and brought us back together. So it was me and him against the neurotypical world.
I like that. I like that. It's so hard sometimes, isn't it? And it's the social events as well. So I used to I used to enjoy some of the social events, but I learned very quickly that I couldn't say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And that there were particular events that I would go to. Or when I was, and I think the hardest thing for me is when I was a line manager, your expectation is the line manager should be there with their team.
Yeah, and not too drunk either.
Yeah, well, yeah, that as well. Um, and that's the problem. I was either one or the other. I would stay completely sober and leave early, or I would drink to
Mm.
kind of get over the overstimulation of all these people and all this noise and everything else. And I think now that I'm self-employed, I don't have that commitment anymore. And I can choose to go out with my friends. We will go a gathering, but we'll go somewhere that's not like that, if that makes sense. We'll go something that
Yeah.
suits everybody.
Same
I'm
for
in
me.
more
I
control of
went
it.
to a CIPD networking event last Christmas, and I got really stuck into the mulled wine, and I just went home feeling like a complete social failure. And I thought, I don't know what I've said to who about what, and just wished I hadn't gone, except I've met some people that I still work with. But just like, yeah, those things are great, but can people not quiz me too much about things like, oh, how exactly does autism manifest for you and things? Because I feel like I'm in a job interview and I'm just trying to chill and
Yeah.
meet a few people.
Yeah. Yeah. It does start to feel like work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. So like we're at Christmas itself. So I like I said, I really like Christmas, but also I do have the impact of my eldest. So Harry becomes hyper fixated about Christmas, really hyper fixated, so that I have to now plan absolutely everything. He needs to know how many days there are left to Christmas, what the countdown is.
Is
Um,
that excitement or nerves or what?
it's excitement,
Yeah.
like over excitement. Now, for the last 3 years, Harry has not slept at all Christmas Eve. I mean, not it just doesn't fall asleep at all. So it does have an impact because I'm absolutely exhausted
Yeah.
Christmas Day because I've been up with Harry for most of the night because he just cannot get to sleep through the excitement of it. Um, and I'm hoping this year's going to be slightly different because he's a bit older. Do I anticipate that it's going to be different? No. And I think sometimes understanding when you've got neurodivergent children as well that become hyperfixated on things, it's really hard as a parent, especially as a neurodivergent parent as well, that can also cause burnout
Mm,
for us because it's you're having to plan for their expectations, but also for your own.
absolutely. Yeah. I just want to be able to relax a bit from work and uh, which isn't such a problem now. I'm self-employed, but I was working in HR systems for a really long time, and every December I was doing the holiday reset and I was processing the pay review and the bonuses every single December. So I'd got grandparents nagging me about what do the kids want for Christmas when I didn't even know what I was going to get them. And all I wanted to do is get these projects done and dusted so that I didn't have to worry about them. And they'd be dragging over the Christmas holidays sometimes as well if anything set them back. So it's just the last thing I wanted was Christmas. I could have done with postponing it all. What a great idea.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
jealous of like couples that were dinky, double income and no kids yet that could just avoid the whole thing by going on holiday to Thailand all over Christmas and New Year or something. Fuck it, I'm going to forget.
See, but that's my worst nightmare. See, I'm very much so I'm very much tradition. So if Dave said to us, "Do you want to go away for Christmas?" I'm like a point blank, no. I think I've cracked it, but I haven't cracked it, if you know what I mean. I have to have routine. I have to have
Mm,
traditions in, and everything is so regimented to a point. Like everybody knows what to expect, and I have to have Christmas at my house. And I think we have to alternate like grandparents coming over every year because if I'm not in control of it, that's when I lose my head.
yeah.